It began with a message, just a few lines, emailed, not spoken, written in the quiet language of gratitude and regret. But within those words, the legacy of Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, has shifted once again. This time, not because of a photograph or a bankruptcy filing or a palace divorce, but because of a leaked email. And the man on the other end of it? Jeffrey Epstein. In 2011, Sarah Ferguson wrote to Epstein and called him a supreme friend. She apologized for publicly distancing herself. She wrote of regret and shame. But the shame she described wasn't about knowing him. It was about disowning him in the press. More than a decade later, that email has surfaced. And now charities are walking away. The public is asking hard questions. And the Crown, once again, finds itself quietly absorbing the shock of a scandal it didn't start, but can't afford to ignore. Welcome to Crownverse, where royal history doesn't hide behind ceremony. It speaks through evidence, through documents, through digital trails. If you care about the decisions that defined power in the royal family, subscribe now. Because in moments like this, it's not crowns or titles that are tested. It's character. To understand the weight of this moment, we must begin with the relationship between Sarah Ferguson and Jeffrey Epstein. It is neither casual nor peripheral. It is documented, financial, and now emotional. In the early 2000s, Ferguson struggled with debt. Her lifestyle, tabloid attention, and business failures had left her deeply in arrears. That's when Epstein, according to public reporting, stepped in, allegedly paying off parts of her debt to Andrew's staff through an intermediary. Though the amount was small in royal terms, reportedly £15,000, it symbolized something greater: dependence. A door opened. In 2011, Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. His name was radioactive. Public associations with him were damaging. That same year, Ferguson publicly stated she was deeply regretful for ever accepting his money. The press picked up the story. Headlines ran. Statements were made. But behind the scenes, another version of the truth was being written. In the newly revealed email, Ferguson writes not with distance, but with warmth. She describes Epstein as a supreme friend. She apologizes for allowing the press to get away with writing such untruths. She promises she would never, ever say such things about you. She says she was forced to distance herself and wishes she had defended him. The contradiction is stark. In public, regret for ever associating with him. In private, regret for ever denying him. And that contradiction is now shaking the fragile public goodwill Ferguson has spent years trying to rebuild. The email became public in 2025 as part of the ongoing release of documents from Epstein's estate and its many investigations. Alongside other correspondences from public figures, it offered a glimpse into the lingering network that Epstein maintained long after his first conviction. But Ferguson's message stands out, not just because of who she is, but because of what she said. Her words are not vague, they are not neutral. They're written with emotion and clarity. And the response has been swift. Multiple UK charities, including Teenage Cancer Trust and Prevent Breast Cancer, have announced they will end formal ties with Sarah Ferguson. Others have expressed concern or placed partnerships under review. It's a reputational cascade, one charity after another seeking to distance themselves before public anger widens. These are not dramatic moves, they are defensive ones. Charities live on public trust, and that trust is fragile. Ferguson has not issued a new public statement since the email was released. No formal apology, no clarification, no context. And that silence, too, has been noted. Some have defended her, citing the possibility that she was manipulated, that she wrote under pressure, that Epstein may have threatened to release damaging information if she didn't walk back her public disavowal. This claim, suggested in some media outlets, remains unverified. Others argue that such pressure only deepens the need for transparency. If threats were made, they must be named. If mistakes were made, they must be owned. Because silence now reads not as dignity, but as avoidance. Sarah Ferguson has always walked a delicate line with the royal family. Though no longer married to Prince Andrew, she still lives on the royal estate at Royal Lodge. She continues to be included in some family events. Her daughters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, remain beloved figures, increasingly active in public roles. But this moment could shift that balance. The monarchy has sought, particularly under King Charles, to streamline its public image, to reduce working royals, to distance from scandal. Ferguson, for years, existed in a kind of royal gray zone, neither fully in nor fully out. This email may push her further to the margins. The language she used, the warmth, the praise, was not written under duress. It was not a press statement crafted by lawyers. It was an email, direct and personal. And that makes it harder to spin. The monarchy has not issued a statement, nor has Buckingham Palace commented. This is standard practice. They rarely speak on behalf of non-working royals. But the silence does not mean indifference. Inside palace walls, these developments matter. Every royal appearance, every public tie is now scrutinized more than ever. And when associations like this emerge, the pressure to sever links becomes immediate. For Ferguson, this moment is more than a PR setback. It is a test of credibility. She has built a new brand in recent years, publishing children's books, speaking about mental health, partnering with charities. Her Instagram feed shows a life of polished gratitude, tea sets, kind words, resilience. But now one email has reframed that image, because it shows what kindness looked like behind closed doors, and to whom it was offered. The question now is what happens next. Will Sarah Ferguson issue a statement? Will she attempt to clarify, to apologize, to claim context? Or will she retreat further from public view, hoping time will dull the outrage? And what of her daughters? Beatrice and Eugenie have, until now, maintained spotless reputations. They're viewed as modern, educated, family-oriented royals. But public scrutiny is rarely fair. Guilt by association spreads quickly. There is no indication that either daughter was involved in these correspondences. But the pressure on them, by press and public alike, will increase, especially if Ferguson remains silent. This is how scandal works in royal life. It begins quietly, an email, a document, a whisper. And then it grows, feeding on silence, on half-statements, on history. For the monarchy, this is not just a Ferguson issue. It is a test of its promise to modernize, to stand for values it claims to uphold: integrity, transparency, accountability. Because when royals or those close to them are revealed to have protected predators or flattered abusers, the institution loses more than reputation. It loses moral ground. And that is something no crown can afford. We will continue to follow this story. We will track every ripple, every response, every silence. Because in moments like this, history is not just observed, it is written, one email at a time. If you want to see how royal power is preserved, challenged, and changed, subscribe now. At Crownverse, we don't chase the surface. We investigate what lies beneath. This is where royal history lives on.